Video, we are going to be doing a pre-flight inspection of a Cessna 172, and we'll be showing you how to do a pre-flight checks. Today we are at Renton Municipal Airport in Renton, Washington, flying the Cessna 172 Skyhawk with the G1000 flight display. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to pull this checklist. You can get it from the Pilot's Operating Handbook. You can also pull it up in apps like Foreflight. So first thing we'll do here is we are going to clear the yoke so you can kind of have a better visibility on this. So first thing we would do is check the pitot tube cover outside the airplane. Just make sure that that's remove the cover there. Make sure the Pilot's Operating Handbook is in the aircraft. And then check the aircraft weight and balance, and then we'll make sure the parking brake is set. So that's the first thing there. You can see that lever there on the bottom. That is the parking brake. So you would just pull that out just to make sure that the parking brake's on. And then if there's a control wheel lock, you would remove that as well. There's not on this, but if you had a control wheel lock, you would take that off. Make sure the ignition switch is off, and then the first thing we'll do is make sure the avionics master switch is off. You can see there to the left hand side, and then what we'll do is we'll flip that master switch on. You can see the Garmin G1000 flight display comes alive, and then first thing we'll do, we'll check the fuel quantity indicators. You can see there oil pressure, oil temperature, vacuum pressure, fuel quantity, and then on the right side you can see the annunciators, oil pressure, low volts, low vacuum. Those will be illuminated when you fire up the G1000. And then the next thing we'll do is we are going to turn on the avionics master switch, bus 1 and bus 2. So the secondary flight display comes alive there, the G1000, and then you can just enter any key there to turn the flight display on. And then another thing, when you turn the avionics master switch on, there should be an audible cooling fan that comes alive. And then we'll make sure that the static pressure source valve is on, pushed in. That's that little red button there. You can see the static air pressure, so we'll make sure that's pushed in. And then there's a test button, the standby test battery. Just hold that on for 20 seconds and then make sure that there's the appropriate annunciators remain on after holding that test battery. That just tests your standby battery, make sure that that is working correctly. And then after you hold that for about 10-20 seconds, you can turn that off. And then the fuel selector there is at the bottom, so you can flip it over to the right side. That would be the right fuel tanks, but holds about 26.5 gallons in the Cessna 172. The left side, same thing, 26.5 gallons. Total fuel, 53 gallons between the two tanks. We'll set that to both. Make sure that's set on both. And then you can see at the bottom there, that little red, that's the fuel shutoff valve. We want to make sure that that is pushed fully in. And then according to the checklist in Foreflight, the next step is to make sure the flaps are fully extended, just to test those out. So we'll go ahead and take out this this yoke just so you can see it better. Can remove that, and then the flap lever there on the right hand side, you can see, just push that fully down just to ensure that those are working. And then as you can see there, if we look out the left side, to our left out the window, the flaps are fully extended. Just make sure those are working correctly. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to test the pitot heat. So, you know, in a real airplane, if you're doing this, you would flip that pitot heat button there on the left side. We'll flip that on. And then in real life, we would go out and check the pitot tube just to make sure that the heat was coming on and that it was warm to the touch. We'll go ahead and turn the pitot heat button off. And then the next step is we're going to turn the master switch off. So both those flight displays will shut down when you click the master button. This is the pitch trim. So the nose wheel, you can, if you push it, if you roll it up, it'll push the nose down. If you pull it, push down, the nose will come up. So you can see, you just set that for the you set the elevator trim for your takeoff settings. Now, as we would do our external checks, so we would check if the aircraft had a rudder gust lock installed. We would make sure that was removed. Obviously, if the aircraft is tied down, we would make sure to disconnect like the tail tie down, wing tie down, check the trim tab, and then just to make sure, if there was any antennas, make sure those were free and clear. We would also go around and check the ailerons on the left side of or on both the left and right side of the aircraft. Just to check the ailerons to make sure they were free and clear and working correctly. And then we'd also check the flaps, just make sure that the flaps were, check the condition of those, make sure they were moving free and correctly. And then we would go ahead and disconnect, if we had, again, wing tie downs, check the main wheel tire, just check for proper inflation, general condition, check for tread depth and wear. And then we would go around and do our fuel checks. So we would, at this point, we would do a fuel tank, drain the valves of the sump tanks, and then get a cup full of fuel and just check to make sure that it was free of any water, sediments, any contaminants. And then we would check the fuel quantities, make sure the fuel filler cap was secure and the vent was unobstructed. We would check the oil levels with our oil dipstick check. Also check the engine oil filler cap and make sure the engine cooling air inlets were free of obstructions. And then just checking like the propeller, make sure it's free of any nicks, securities. And then also the air filter, make sure that that's free of restrictions from dust or particles. And then again, we would, in the left and right wing tanks, we would just check the fuel quantity visually, make sure that the fuel filler cap was secure. And then we'd also check the stall warning opening just for blockage. Again, making sure that our wing tie downs are disconnected. Check the landing lights, taxi lights, and then again, just double check the both the left and right side for the make sure the ailerons and flaps were free and moving correctly.
Thank you for watching the video. Please like the video and subscribe for more flight training and aviation related educational videos.